everyone. Hey, good evening and welcome to another episode of The Front. My name is Mike Phillips and I will be your host. As always, please check out the website at leadtheteam.net for free sales training, for motivational content, and for leadership tips. And if you would, please cruise on over to leadtheteam.tv. Subscribe to the YouTube channel there. Make sure you hit the little bell notification icon so that you get notified when I'm going live and uploading new episodes. So today, as we do on Wednesdays, I'm going to be sharing a live leadership lesson. And I'm going to be bringing on my friend Jonathan Liebert, who's the CEO of the Better Business Bureau of Southern Colorado and Colorado Institute for Social Impact. So he and I are going to get going right after this.
Thanks for tuning in to Lead the Teams, The Front.
Yes, that's right. Thank you so much for going live with us today. To my left, which he can't see us right now, is my friend Jonathan Liebert. So Jonathan, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing great, Mike. Thanks for having me on your show.
Yeah, absolutely. So the unique piece, I'm just going to tell the viewers, I'm kind of kickstarting the Facebook and the YouTube lives and so forth as we're going here. But the unique thing, so Jonathan, we couldn't figure out how to switch his camera around. And so he sent me a picture. I haven't got to look at it yet, but he's got a contraption of his camera propped up. And so he's doing this all by audio. So just, Jonathan, make sure and make camera eye contact and smile a lot. We'll be fine. So, all right.
I love technology.
What's that?
I love technology.
Absolutely. And with all the technology, I think probably the technology prop is not what you've got on your camera right now. So, so as with the introduction, you are the CEO of the Better Business Bureau Southern Colorado and the Colorado Institute for Social Impact. I know you're a really innovative leader in our community here in Colorado Springs. So do me a favor for the viewers that are maybe not as familiar with you personally, because I have a lot of viewership in automotive, obviously. But do me a favor and just give us a little background, kind of a brief history of who you are, your business background, 3-4 minutes, if you would. Fill the viewers in on who's Jonathan Liebert.
Absolutely. So I have been doing business for about 14 years now. And what's interesting is a lot of people don't know about me. My background is that I started out not in business, but in psychology. So I worked for a healthcare company for many, many years, but actually the healthcare company afforded me the opportunity to do more business. And so I found out I had this latent entrepreneurial gene, and but there's more to that story too. So what's interesting is because I have my background in psychology, but my skill set and my other experiences around business, there's another sector of the economy, which we'll talk about today, I'm sure, Mike, is
absolutely
called a social entrepreneur. And so at the end of the day, what I tell people is that I'm a social entrepreneur. I am an entrepreneur that enjoys running businesses, enjoys working with businesses, enjoys the business community here in Colorado Springs. We have a vibrant community here. And that social entrepreneur piece is, I can mix the business and I can mix that with purpose. So mix purpose and profit together to combine this new kind of hybrid for business. So I've been running these social impact businesses and social enterprise businesses for about 14 years. And I came to BBB about 3 years ago. And that was not kind of the plan. I just enjoy working with businesses so much, but at BBB, it affords me the opportunity to work with nonprofits as well. So I get to mix both those worlds. And I was here at BBB really found out that there was a need in our community to create more awareness and more education around this new sector of the economy in this whole social impact sector. So there's a traditional business, there's a traditional nonprofit, but now there's this other kind of business that's a hybrid between those two, and that's a social impact business. So that's when we started this other company called the Institute for Social Impact, CI, the number 4 SI for short. But that is something that's designed to educate aware business owners and nonprofit leaders that you can mix these two together. And so it's important from a B2B perspective to do that, because as this new sector of the economy grows, we want to make sure we educate consumers on who are the people that are doing this right and who are the people that are doing this well. So we have to educate folks on that from the B2B side, but then we also want to make sure that we're giving social entrepreneurs the opportunity to get training and education and help people convert their business models. So we help a lot of different people that are in the for-profit or nonprofit world convert to the social impact sector and really figure out how to engage the millennial consumer, really figure out how to do things that are a little bit different in terms of your business model, but also access a whole other way of generating revenue to create more value for your customers, for your business. And quite honestly, there's a lot of people that are passionate about doing something else in their business rather than just the profit side. They want to make money and they want to impact their community. And a lot of businesses are already doing this. They just didn't know there's really a formalized way to make that into their business model. So those are kind of the two worlds that I sit in, but they absolutely connect. And really, it's very exciting right now. A lot of good things.
Right. Yeah, no, I know you have a ton of exciting stuff going on right now. Do me a favor and do speak up just a little bit. I can hear you fine, but just so as you're talking, and I know you're a very humble leader, so you're not somebody that's going to be yelling at the camera and such. So you've got, and I know it's something you're really passionate about right now, you've got the primary kind of three sectors of the economy. You got public sector, right, which is the for-profit stuff. You've got the public sector, which is government, right? Private sector, which is the for-profit, and then what you guys say is the plural sector, which is the nonprofits. So that's it. Hence, if anyone's watching, that's sort of the play on the CI4 SI, right? Is that fourth sector. And what else is it in that fourth sector? What is it? Because you're saying it's for profit and purpose. So can you expand on it just a little bit more, and then we'll get rolling into this into the rest of the show too.
Right. So there's a lot of business owners and a lot of really even investment companies now that are changing their strategies. You look at the research, and again, we're all doing this, but millennials are the ones absolutely kind of the tip of the spear that are investing in these businesses. This mixing and blending purpose and profit and mission and margin together is really a different way of doing business. But again, at the same time, a lot of people have been doing this for many, many years. And so we're seeing for-profit companies that are, strategically creating more investments as they give back to their communities, and they're more aware of the social issues and they're trying to solve it. And we've got a lot of, top-level people throughout the U.S. that are stating that this is something that businesses are paying more attention to. And more importantly, this is something that consumers are paying more attention to. And so here's the most important thing here in the community is that people are coming to us, business owners are saying, I've got two things I want to do. I got to figure out how to do this whole mission and margin thing, because from a customer base standpoint, I want to attract more consumers. They like this stuff. They're talking about it on social media.
Right.
But the other one that business owners are really trying to figure out is they figured this out in the sense of, wow, if I don't figure out how to blend these two together, I'm not going to attract the next generation of workers come and work for me. So one, it's about how to engage and get more consumers, but more importantly, it's about how to engage and employ and retain your employees. And so we're hearing a lot of people that are trying to figure out this strategy so they can get their workforce to come work for them, but more importantly, that they stay and they're engaged. Research shows that folks have a higher purpose at their business. So making money is important, don't get me wrong. But if you're making money and you have a higher purpose to what you do, those two things together create tremendous value for your employees, your community, and for your customers. People are looking for that now. So it's something that every business owner should consider. If they're not already doing something like that, they should do maybe or look at it.
Right, and I think you said before too about the purpose. It gives the business a sense of purpose. It gives the employees a sense of purpose. It gives the customers a sense of purpose, like they're contributing to something, right? And I think that's a big that's a big driver. And you and I have talked previously. It's not the traditional. Where businesses are, we've got to go donate, right? It's not the traditional where they feel obligated to donate. It's truly a function of how they operate their business, right?
Correct. And you're right. I mean, it's a function of, where you're going to go shop. So in any economy, or any community, there's going to be some kind of social issue. So right now in Colorado Springs, we're talking about how do I get a veteran a job? How do I get somebody a job who's homeless? How do I, positively impact my community? And you can donate to nonprofits and give them money. You could go volunteer and maybe create some more impact.
Sure.
But another way businesses are leveraging this is they're saying, hey, come buy this product with me, and I'm employing a veteran. Come buy this product for me. I'm going to employ that homeless person. person, or I'm going to invest in a program that's going to get them the training that they need to become successful. And consumers are saying, smart consumers are saying, so I'm going to buy a product anyways. I'm going to buy a product from a social impact company because my money's going to go further. So if I'm going to buy a car, if I'm going to buy a jacket, some shoes, a computer or whatever, there are companies that are telling you, we're going to do more with the money that you give us. We're going to reinvest all that money back into your community. Well, why wouldn't you do that? You're not going to spend more, although research says that 7% of consumers will pay more for a product or service that does this. It doesn't have to be, but they will pay more. But if you're going to go buy the product anyways, and it gives more money back to your community, solves some kind of social issue, you're investing back into your community, you're going to go buy from that company, and you're probably going to go tell your friends to go buy from them too, because that company is reinvesting some of that money back into making your community a better place.
Absolutely. And you guys are measuring this now, or you're on the forefront of that, of creating, and I won't get into that too much because I know that it's super top secret, but you guys are getting into a position that you're able to measure that on what they're giving, what is the return that they're giving back to the community, right?
Absolutely. So much from a traditional standpoint of making profits, we're all familiar with an ROI, so it's a return on investment. We are actually able to measure the SROI, which is social return on investment. So you can look at a company and figure out how much money they've made from a profit standpoint. We're able to take a look at and see what was your impact, what was the actual impact that you've had on the community from a social standpoint, from an economic standpoint. We can measure that now, and that's extraordinarily powerful and extraordinarily valuable. As you know, maybe folks want to invest in a company that does this. What is your social return on investment? Or even if you're donating to a nonprofit, we can do this study on nonprofits as well. So you can determine, what is the impact of your donation onto that nonprofit. So if you give $1 or invest that dollar, and they're going to help to put somebody who's homeless to work, what is the return on that? Is it $5 or $10 to every one that you have? It just kind of depends on what you're trying to achieve. But we can measure that now, which is absolutely important.
No, that is absolutely awesome. I love it, man. I love how passionate you are about it. And you like I said, part of the reason that I wanted to invite you on the show is because you are such an innovative leader and you're leading, different companies. I knew a little bit about your background in with the psychology and so forth, just because you and I have talked previously. So moving into the leadership lesson part of it, because you are that forefront innovative leader, or I view you that way. I know many people do here in Colorado Springs, and you're at the top of the BBB. So you're engaging with other leaders from other businesses, right? Other owners, other high-level managers, other leaders from other businesses, correct?
Correct.
So, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, since you're engaging with these, you have a lot of different influence. You see a lot of different kind of leadership styles. You see a lot of different leadership characteristics, some influence. So I'm going to dive right into this question. What would you say, what would Jonathan Liebert say is, look, as far as kind of global leadership, the 20,000-foot view, what would you say are the top 3 characteristics that you think really define somebody as a good quality leader? Can you narrow it down to 3?
Well, it's really and absolutely, and I think for me, because I'll kind of give you 2 answers, but one in the same way is, absolutely, as I see different leaders in our community, and I also teach at our local, university here at UCCS, University of Colorado Springs. I only teach one class, but I teach in the business school, and so I'm looking at the research on a regular basis to see, what is it that people are looking for in their leaders. And what's interesting that we're starting to see, this has always been there, but one of the number one most important things now that people are looking for in a leader and a CEO in this day and age is transparency. They're looking for trust. So it's about trust, it's about ethics, it's about integrity, it's about leading by example. It's all these things now that those are the things that I kind of believe in any case. Those are things that, the business community absolutely, you trade in that and you do a good job being a trustworthy business, being honest and ethical. People will buy more from you. But when you're looking at what consumers are looking for, the millennial generation, what they're looking for, they're absolutely looking for transparency. They're looking for people to be honest and truthful with them. And they're trying to really make sure that they're buying from businesses that are engaging in transparent and ethical practices. Unfortunately, we live in an age where technology enables people to create a lot of scams.
Yeah.
Cyber criminals, you're trying to steal your identification. This is the world I live in for BBB.
Right.
And make sure they're protected against that. And so, we want businesses have to be aware that, protect your consumer data, make sure you're protecting privacy, but at the same time, be aware that, as all this stuff is going on out there, people and consumers are looking for businesses to lead the way. And when it comes to, that next level of trust and be honest and ethical in their business dealings. So those themes have always been around, but we're seeing them increase as you look at some of that research that's out there. And it's more important than ever to show be a leader needs to be honest, ethical, transparent, have integrity, lead by example, be good stewards, servant leadership. That's really what I believe in, and that's really what is showing in the research right now. That's what people want from their businesses.
So you said about 7, right? And make sure to just a reminder, speak up just a little bit because I lose you sometimes. I know you're excited about the stuff. So you would say trust, integrity, transparency, that servant leadership. All of those things are. I absolutely agree with you. I think they're so relevant right now. And so, how do you determine, because you are first and foremost, you're the CEO of the Better Business Bureau, and how do you gauge, how can you tell if you can trust somebody? Because it's one thing to have the rhetoric, like, and say, oh, hey, we see it all the time in business, like, hey, you can trust us, we're the honest blank business. How can you actually, if you have a way, what would you recommend? What can you do for somebody to gauge trust?
It's a couple of different things that we will look at BBB, but also consumers. And there's a lot of information out there on the internet right now. And again, we're all familiar with, online customer reviews. That's where people are going to determine in a lot of cases whether they should buy from a company. Because hopefully if they have those really good reviews, then that will mean you can trust the business, right? Obviously, we hope that people will go to the Better Business Bureau website, because we are, and this is important, we're a nonprofit. We're 501c6.
Okay.
And it's important that we're a nonprofit because we're trying to give what we do is we give unbiased information back to the community. And that's important because I'm not making money off of the reviews. I'm not making money off of how it's posted. I'm just trying to give good information out there. But again, we're one resource out there, and people will ask their friends, will ask their family who they can trust, who they've done business with. So track record is really, really important. And in the age of customer reviews, you have track record is kind of out there. And that's where people are going to get a lot of information. But unfortunately, about 30% of online customer reviews are false. Somebody wrote them, they were a good friend, they were an ex-employee that wasn't happy, or there are people that literally get paid to write about $5 a review, put that out there. So, BBB's job is to go and vet customer reviews on our website and to get that track record information plugged into our database so people will know if they can trust. And we're looking for lots of things. We're looking to make sure they honor their promises. We make sure that they're advertising honestly. We do ad reviews. If somebody says we're the number one, we're the best, it's not cited, then we'll ask them, like, can you prove that? Can you verify that? Not
Right.
It's kind of advertisement. You should probably change it. We're going to make sure that they're honoring their contracts. Then we're going to make sure that there's not similar complaints that happen, because things happen. People are going to complain about your business, but if it's the same thing 3 or 4 times, that's what we call a pattern of complaint, then we're going to call you on it too. So consumers have more power than they've ever had before, primarily because of the internet and social media. And at the same time, consumers, as they have more power, it's also confusing because there's so much information and data at your fingertips. And so what I always tell people is you got to kind of check multiple places. Hopefully BBB is one of those places that you look for data and information.
Sure.
But you got to get more from people. You're looking for that track record. And so if a business has been around for 40 years and they've got good reviews all over the internet, that's a great thing to have. If they've been around for 1 or 2 years, they're trying to build it, give them the shot maybe, unless there's some red flags that you see. But track record's important. honoring promises, advertising honestly, being truthful, being a CEO that's a well-respected person of the community that has that integrity and trust. Those are all things that kind of go into knowing that you're buying from a good business and making sure you're building that credibility in your community as a solid business.
No, those are all great points. And I heard you slide it in there just a second ago when you were talking about, talking to other people. I in such a digital age, I think there's still a lot of relevance in word of mouth. Like you said, hey, if somebody did business with them, your mom, your cousin, whatever, a good friend did business with them and so forth. There's still power in word of mouth. So I think you have all those things that tie together, and it lets you see what is this whole three-dimensional picture of trust, not just on the surface. I'm surprised that you mentioned like the reviews, that 30%, you said 30% of them are bogus, like they're bogus for one way or the other. Like they're bogus for, hey, these are great, or they're bogus because they're ticked off. I think that's a huge number to take into account. That's surprising.
It is, and unfortunately, many of the review sites, you can be anonymous and post whatever you want on there.
Right.
BBD is one of the only sites. That's what we do here. Staff is here and read those reviews on our website. We vet every single one of them. We're the only website that has customer reviews where a human has made sure that they're legitimate. Versus on other sites, you can go in there and create 3 or 4 different account profiles and write whatever you want. So we want to make sure we're giving good information to consumers so they inform choices about business.
No, that's good info. So, Jonathan, I've heard it asked before. I ask this question every time, kind of as we're winding down, coming near to the end of the podcast. And you've heard this question asked before on many other shows or podcasts where they say, hey, if you could go back and give your teenage self this one nugget of advice, and I don't ask that question because we can't go back in time, right? We can't time travel. There's no time travel yet. But you can make a positive impact on the next generation of the people that are coming up. So let me ask you, what advice, if it was advice that you maybe would have given yourself, what advice would you give to this next generation? A few things that you would tell someone coming up in business or management or leadership that's really wanting to grow. If you said, look, you need to do this 1 or 2 or 3 things, here's what will propel you forward from where you're at right now. What couple pieces of advice would you give to this next generation of leaders and entrepreneurs?
It's a couple things for me. I have the opportunity to work with a lot of students through the university, and they're trying to figure out who they want to become, what they want to do, all those types of things. And to me, it's always a matter of you got to be really authentic with yourself to determine what path you want to go down. Because whatever path you pick, you better know, you better be passionate about that too, because it's not easy out there, right?
Right.
And, something that you're being honest with yourself about, but also being passionate. But the other thing that I would tell them too is that for whatever reason, this happened many years ago when we pulled the for-profit and nonprofit sectors together. We're seeing them come back together now. And so I tell a lot of young people that you have more than 2 choices now in your professional career. Is your choice you can go and create value and purpose and work for a nonprofit, but you're probably not going to make a lot of money. Or you go work for a for-profit, make more money, but you might not feel as fulfilled. And it was either or. You had to do one or the other.
Sure.
Now what I tell a lot of people is you can do both. And that's this new sector of the economy. So when you're thinking about careers and you're thinking about, what kind of area you want to be a leader in, know that there's this new sector of the economy that's growing very, very quickly. And make sure you're just aware of it and do some research on that to determine if that's a good fit. But at the end of the day, for all leaders, I think it's a classic Simon Sinek of start with why. I think that's important in business, but I think it's also important from a personal perspective. What's your why? What kind of leader do you want to become? You've got to ask yourself that question. And it's got to be, your why has to be the thing that gets you so passionate to get out of bed every single morning and go impact other people. My definition of a leader, not necessarily how many followers you have. My definition of a leader, a great leader, is somebody that creates other leaders. And they're going out there and creating value. So I think that's what's most important. And if you're going to be a good leader, it's, well, what are you doing to help the next person and give them good advice? You're giving them an opportunity to be successful. That's your job as a leader. You're there to kind of blaze the trail, lead the path, and help people along the way. You're there to teach and train and mentor others as well.
That is fantastic. I always get wound up because when I'm sitting and listening to people like you speak, I get sidetracked because I get enamored by it. All I can do is come back and say, "Yeah, that's fantastic. I agree. It's great." Right? But because I sit back here and I take notes also, and that's the advantage. Like for me, hosting the show is to be able to connect with really great and authentic and innovative people like you, Jonathan, to learn from. And I think. I think you really bring some good point. I'm looking at my notes here. That I think you bring some good points about being authentic, being passionate. I think you bring a really good point about finding your passion, because that's normally kind of one of the last questions I ask is, well, how do you find your passion? I think you nailed it. The Simon Sinek, start with why. Why are you doing it? What's the purpose? So no, I think that's fantastic. So kind of as we're winding down here, coming to a close. Couple quick things. You are. I'll ask you two questions that rolled into one, and then we'll take it out. But you have with the Better Business Bureau tomorrow night and we'll give the shameless plug for the Excellence in Customer Service. Well, yeah, you can reshare this, right? The Excellence in Customer Service Awards, the Night of Excellence, is tomorrow night here in the Springs, and you guys host that. You do a fantastic job with it. So what are you looking forward to most about tomorrow night?
So this is a really fun event for us in the community because it's not your kind of typical business event. The business committee will be there. We're honoring some very prestigious businesses. But I'm looking forward to, it's a gala, it's a big party, and it's about having fun. It's about honoring businesses that are doing some great work. It's about really getting information out about the BBB and our mission to the community. And so I'm looking forward to really kind of a fun-filled night. The venue we have is our city auditorium, which will be decked out and will look incredible. But we're there and we're going to network with they're all of our good friends in this wonderful business community that we have here. I'm looking forward to kind of some of the glitz and the glamour. I'm looking forward to meeting with a lot of good friends from the business community, but at the same time, really honoring really some of the phenomenal work of some top businesses. And this year, we've got the most finalists we've ever had in our 24 years of doing this award. We have 13 finalists for this award, and we've got some phenomenal people in there. Yourself included.
Yeah, that'll be. Yeah. It'll be fun.
A lot of good business owners are going to be there.
I agree with you. I think the networking and just the fun of the night. I think you guys do a great job doing that all the time. You've got a really phenomenal team to build that up on both sides of your BBB and the Institute for Social Impact. You've got a phenomenal team. So let me ask you in closing, how can people get a hold of you if they want to connect with Jonathan? Certainly, outside, the reason I'm asking this is more outside our local community. You're well known here in Colorado Springs, but if someone were going to connect with you, say on social media or in another venue, what's the best way for them to reach out and connect, Jonathan?
The best way to get a hold of me is just on LinkedIn, and it's just Jonathan Liebert, and that's Liebert, as in boy, E-R-T. But yeah, I'm very active on LinkedIn. I do a lot of conversations, set up a lot of meetings that way, have some good dialogue. But that's absolutely the best way. Obviously, you can reach out to me through the Better Business Bureau at our .org, so that's on our website, and also through the Colorado Institute website, Colorado Institute for Social Impact. That's www.ci4si.org. And my contact information is on there as well. But LinkedIn's the best way to go. That's easy one, but also on the websites as well. Okay, great, fantastic. So, Jonathan, thank you so much for joining me and sharing tonight. I did just glance at your picture. That is really high tech, the way you have your camera set up. I'll have to share that in one of the comments on YouTube or Facebook. What's that? The behind the scenes stuff. It's exciting.
It is super exciting. So thank you very much for joining me tonight. I'm going to go ahead and take us out, man. So for those of you that took the time to tune in and join us tonight, my friend Jonathan Liebert, who's the CEO of the BBB and the CI4SI.org, thank you so much. Really great live leadership lesson here on my podcast, The Front. I would encourage you, just as a reminder, every Wednesday and Sunday, I host new episodes. So I normally am doing a live leadership lesson, an interview with a top performer, a top producer in the business community on Wednesdays at 7:05 p.m. Eastern. That's 5:05 p.m. here Mountain Time. Also, Sunday, I'm doing pre-recorded shows. Those are more training style shows, a top 5 how to do this. Here's, three ways to become a leader, 5 sales tips and so forth. So I do more of those kind of learning categories on The Front on Sundays, and I don't have a set time for that because that allows me to be more open. But I would love to have you join me. So click the little notification icon that says remind me when Mike is going live or when I'm uploading new episodes. I would love to connect with you. I'd love to continue the conversation after this video. If you have questions for Jonathan, you can pop them in the comments or the sidebar. I'm sure he will get back to you on those, or I'll get back to you on those. And one other thing, do me a favor. If you've gained something out of this episode, one of the biggest compliments you could pay me or Jonathan or here on The Front is just share the video. Click the likes, click the loves, share the video. I would really, really appreciate that. So for those of you that joined us live, thank you so much. If you're watching later, thanks. Share it out right now. And I'll tell you what, until we speak next, I hope you have an absolutely fantastic day. We'll talk to you soon, everybody.